wonder how, I wonder why. Today you tell me about the blue sky, and all that I can see, just a yellow lemon tree. I'm turning my head up and down. I'm turning.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Mimi Filma Herita. I am from Economic Education, major, Faculty of Economics, Padang State University. Today, I will explain about the material economic development from material week 1 into material week 7. But before I explain about the material, let me give some illustration about the life in a people and families in one of a country. The first illustration in the life people, when people all over the world wake up early to face a new day. They have a completely different experience. Some people live in a beautiful and comfortable house with many spacious rooms. They had a lot of food, good clothes, good health, and were in good financial condition. Meanwhile, other people live in unfavorable condition. They may not have enough food and shelter, especially if they are among the poorest on the population world. Their health conditions are often in a hurry. Many of them cannot read and write. They are unemployed and the prospect for achieving a better standard of living are grim. More than 40% of the world population earn less than $2 a day, a condition referred to as absolute poverty. And the last illustration in families in one of a country. This household may consist of 8 or more people, including parents, several children, grandparents, and several aunts and uncles. They have a combined real annual per capita income equivalent to $300. They live in makeshift house together with 1 or 2 rooms and work as a farmer. Father, mother, uncle, and older children had to work on the farm all day long. Adults in this family cannot read or write. Younger children often skip school and cannot hope to continue their education to secondary school after primary education. They often eat only 1 or 2 meals a day of the same type of food, and the amount rarely. They often eat only 1 or 2 meals a day of the same type of food, and they almost rarely satisfy their hunger. Their homes have no electricity, sanitation, or clean water supply. Various illnesses often occur where they live, but qualified doctors are far away in city and prefer to meet the medical care needs of well-to-do families. Their work is hard, their bodies are stung by the hot sunshine, and the hope for a better life is running low. Okay, now move the material. The first material I will explain about what is economic development. Economic development is a branch of economics which deals with economic aspect of development process in low-income countries. It focuses not only one method of promoting economic development, economic growth and structural change, but also one improving the potential for the mass of the population. For example, through health, education, and workplace conditions, whether through public or private channels. Development economics involves the creation of theories and methods that aid in the determination of policy and practice and can be implemented at either the domestic or international level. This may involve restructuring market incentives or using mathematical methods such as intertemporal optimization for project analysis, or it may involve a mixture of quantitative and qualitative methods. The nature development economics. Traditional economic focus on the attention on the allocation of scarce productive resource and the optimal growth of this resource to produce a variety of goods and services that continue to develop. In other words, traditional economics use an economic approach that emphasizes utility, profit maximization, market efficiency, and equilibrium determination. While the science of development economics has a broader scope apart from relating to the efficiency allocation of scarce productive resource and the sustainable growth of this resource in the future. This field of study must also relate to economic, social, political mechanism, and the institution, both public and private, necessary to produce rapid and large-scale increase in people living standard. In brief, the science of development economic focus on unraveling the mechanism that make families, region, and even the country as a whole in poverty trap, which is when past poverty cause future poverty and produce the most effective strategy to escape the trap. The main purpose of economic development study is to help us understand the economics of developing countries in order to improve the welfare of the majority of the world's population. Thus, development must be viewed as a multidimensional process involving various fundamental changes in social structure, attitudes of society and social institutions, as well as accelerating growth, reducing inequality, and reducing poverty. In essence, development must reflect change in total social system in accordance with various basic needs, as well as effort to foster the aspiration of individuals and social growth in that system. Development should be an attempt to change the condition of life from what is considered unsatisfactory to better, physical and mentally. Now, what is meant by development? From the point of view of economics, development is usually defined as an effort to achieve a sustainable per capita income growth rate, so that the state can generate output that is faster than the population rate. However, along with the development of the times, economic development began to redefine in relation to effort to reduce or eliminate poverty, inequality, and unemployment in the context of an increasingly development economy. This is not without reason. This is not without a reason, as a number of developing countries have achieving relatively high rates of growth in per capita income, but at the same time have shown little or no improvement or even a slight decrease in the rates of unemployment, inequality, and real income. Core values of development. Adequacy, the ability to meet basic needs. It means everyone has certain basic needs that must be met in order to live life. The basic human needs to support this life include, for example, food, shelter, health, and protection. Self-respect to be fully human. It means a feeling of worth and dignity, not used to achieve other people's goals. All people and society strive to fulfill basic form of self-respect or dignity, respect, honor, or recognition. Freedom for servitude. It means the ability to choose free from condition of material deprivation as well as freedom from social servitude to the environment, other people, and dogmatic beliefs that poverty is a fate predestined by God. 3 goals of development. 1. Increase availability and expansion of the distribution of basic living necessities such as food, shelter, health, and protection. 2. An increase in the standard of living not only in the form of an increase in income, but also the availability of more employment opportunities, better education, and greater attention to cultural values and poverty. And the last, third, an expansion of the economic and social available preference to individuals and the nation as a whole, which not only frees them from the bondage or servitude and feelings of dependence on other people and countries or national, but also from the various factors that cause ignorance and misery. Basic development indicators. Per capita income adjusted for purchasing power. Health as measured by life expectancy, nutritional intakes, and child mortality. Educational attainment as measured by the level of literacy and level of education or length of study at school. Now, what is different economic development and development economics? Question Development Economic by Lincoln Arshad. Development economics is a field of study in economics. To be more precise, study things related to economic problems in developing countries like Indonesia, including policies that need to be done to realize economic development. Simple paths, efforts to improve the economic welfare of nations, especially developing countries like Indonesia. The policies that are usually studied in economic development are specifically aimed at maximizing the growth of the gross national product or GDP. This is done through a process of capital accumulation and industrialization. So, previously economic development was taught as part of economic development. It can be said economic development is a form of business in the economy in order to develop economic activities, with the hope that infrastructure can improve, economic growth can further increase and develop. This includes increased level of education and more advanced technology. Developing countries are closely related to the economy. The economy has some factors, including economic factor and non-economic factors. Non-economic factors are external factors that come from outside that can influence business actors in managing economic resources. For example, social level, society law, and culture. And economic factors are internal factors that come from within that can affect business activities. For example, employees, capital, raw materials, and tools and machines. Fifth, the amount of the unemployment rate. In developing countries, the unemployment rate is still high because the available job vacancies are not evenly distributed. In addition, the level of education that is not evenly distributed is also one of the factors causing the high unemployment rate. 6. Imports are higher than exports. Due to the low management of natural resources and human resources in developing countries often buy goods from abroad. Or, it's mean dalam bahasa luar negeri. First, income per year deaths tend to be low. This is because the unemployment rate is still high. Second, security is not guaranteed. Security in developing countries is still minimal and not visible. Therefore, the crime rate in developed countries is still high. Third, minimal health facilities. The lack of proper health facilities makes people in developing countries more susceptible to disease. Therefore, the death rate in the developing country is also greater than the death rate in developed countries, which is in turn result in a lower life expectancy. Fourth, uncontrolled population development. Developing countries have a very large average population compared to developed countries because of uncontrolled population development. This is also a result of the lack of education and health facilities. And after listening explain about the economic development, now we must discuss about the developing countries' characteristics. Developing countries have 6 characteristics. Among others are, now I talking about the history of economic development. What is history of economic development? History of economic development is economic growth is one of the important indicators in analyzing the economic development that occurs in a country. With the existence of economic growth, it is expected that people's income as the owner of production factor will also increase. Indicators in economic development are GDP, GNP, purchasing power parity, net economic welfare, physical quality of life index, and human development index. And now we talk about the economic development have the same theory according to by expert. Richard Nelson say, according to Nelson, the country's economic disease retardation can be diagnosed as a degree stable per capita income balance or close to the cost of living. In Nelson theory, there are 4 conditions: technological and social trap, low level balance. Namely, 1. High correlation between level of per income capita and population growth rates. 2. Low inclination to use additional per capita income for increased per capita investment. 3. Lack of good land for farming. And the last 4, inefficient production methods. Lewis say about the economic theory is, Lewis assumed that the economic of a country is basically divided into 2. Namely, the traditional economy in rural areas, which is dominated by the agricultural sector, and the modern economy in city with industry as the main sector. Marxist or Karl Marx, the economics theory is Marx used the theory of surplus values as the economic basis for the class struggle in capitalism. And it is one the basis of this theory of surplus value that he builds as superstructure of analyzing of his economic development. Rosenstein-Rodan said the economic theory is Rodan is well known for his theory of big push. According to Rosenstein-Rodan, if a developing country wants to break the chain of poverty, then there needs to be large-scale investment in the industrial sector or big push. This large-scale investment will create synergistic interaction between various sectors. Schumpeter say economic growth is largely determined by entrepreneurial abilities. Malthus say, in classical theory, large population growth will create shortage so that people will live barely. The theory development economics by Adam Smith is the economic will grow if there is population growth. Keynes states that macroeconomic trends can influence individual microeconomic behavior. J.S. Mill regards economic development as a function of a land, labor, and capital. If wages rise, the supply of labor increases. David Ricardo says, if population growth is too large, then the workforce will be abundant and wages will decrease, so that the economy will become stagnant. Doctrines of balanced growth. The balanced growth theory is an economic theory pioneered by the economic runner Marx. The theory hypothesizes that the government of any underdeveloped country needs to make large investment in a number of industries simultaneously. This will enlarge the market size, increase productivity, and provide an incentive for the private sector to invest.
Tarik ses semongko kini
Marx was in favor of attaining balanced growth in both the industrial and agricultural sector of the economy. He recognized that the expansion and intersectoral balance between agricultural and manufacturing is necessary, so that each of the sector provides a market for the product of the other in the third. Supply the necessary raw material for the development and growth of the other. Unbalanced growth theory. Unbalanced growth theory states that no country has this amount of capital which is very too big to do development in all sectors. The investment should be made in some existing sector or industry selected so that the result can be used for develop other sectors. Thus, the economy will gradually grow and develop from unbalanced towards balanced growth direction. The Hardomer model is a Keynesian model of economic growth. It is used in development economics to explain an economic growth rate in terms of the level of saving and of capital. It suggests that there is no natural reason for an economy to have balanced growth. The model was developed independently by Roy F. Harrod in 1939 and F. C. Domar in 1946, although a similar model had been proposed by Gustav Kessel in 1924. The Harrod-Domar model was the precursor to the exogenous growth model. The experts have three opinions support unbalanced economic growth. The opinion first is proponents of an unbalanced growth strategy favor investing in selected sectors rather than simultaneous investment in all sectors of the economy. Opinion 2. Investment in selected sector generative investment opportunities new. And the last opinions, new investment opportunities can only be achieved by creating imbalances economy one purpose. Both the sectors coexist in economy, wherein lies the core of the development problem. Development can be brought about only by a complete shift in the focal point of progress from the agricultural to industrial economy, such that there is augmentation of industrial output. This is done by transfer of labor from the agricultural sector to the industrial one, showing that underdeveloped countries do not suffer from constraint of labor supply. At the same time, growth in the agricultural sector must not be negligible and its output should be sufficient to support the whole economy with food and raw materials. The Ferenc model of economic growth is a dualism model in developmental economics or welfare economics that has been developed by John C. H. Fay and Gustav Ferenc and can be understood as an extension of the Lewis model. It is also known as the surplus labor model. It recognizes the presence of a dual economy comprising both the modern and the primitive sectors, and that takes the economic situation of unemployment and underemployment of resources into account. Unlike many other growth models that considers underdeveloped countries to be homogeneous in nature. Dualism, economic dualism, a way of conceptualizing the existence of two, sometimes more, separate but symbiotic set of economic process or market within the same political or national social framework. In the world society, for example, a dual economy is formed by the coexistence of peasant subsistence, agriculture, and cash production of basic commodity or industrial goods for the international market. An analogous division exists in highly industrialized economies between the corporate core and peripheral firms and labor markets. Myrdal or Professor Gunnar Myrdal argues that economic development produces a circular cause and effect process in which the rich gain more and those who are left behind become increasingly constrained. The backward effect tends to be bigger and the spread effect tends to be smaller. Cumulatively, this trend exacerbates international inequality and causes regional inequality among underdeveloped countries. Professor Myrdal argues that applying the idea of stable equilibrium as a theoretical basis by which to explain change in social system is wrong. However, if we continue to apply equilibrium analysis, then a change will always cause a reaction in the system itself in the form of a change that as a whole moves in the opposite direction to the first change. Economic supports unique growth strategy is C.P. Kindleberts, H.W. Singers, and Albert Hirschman. According to this theory, the primitive sector consists of the existing agricultural sector in the economy, and the modern sector is the rapidly emerging but small industrial sector. Neoclassical economies claim shortcomings in the Harrod-Domar model, in particular the instability of its solution, and by the late 1915s start an academic dialogue that led the development of the Solow-Swan model. According to the Harrod-Domar model, there are the kinds of growths: warrant state growths, actual growths, and natural rate of growth. Warranted growth rate is the rate of growth at which the economy does not expand indefinitely or go into recession. Actual growth is the real rate increase in country's GDP per year. Natural growth is the growth an economy requires to maintain full employment. For example, if the labor force grows at 3% per year, then to maintain full employment, the economy's annual growth rate must be 3%. Joan Robinson said in her book The Accumulation of Capital, published in 1956, propagates a simple growth model, which reflects the working of a pure capitalist economy, also known as Joan Robinson growth model. However, the accumulation of capital was a Dart's book, and in one of her other books, Ethel Essay in the Theory of Economic Growth, she tried to lower the degree of abstraction. The growth model was propagated in verbal terms, where later in the mathematical formalization was put forward by Kenneth K. Kurihara. The Lorenz curve is a curve regarding the unequal distribution of wealth or income. Curve consists of rectangles. The diagonal lines of the rectangle have one real curve connecting two diagonal points. In the Lorenz curve, there are two axes, namely the horizontal axis and the vertical axis. The horizontal axis shows the cumulative share of the population from 0 to 100%. The vertical axis of the cumulative share of wealth or income from poorest to richest. The closer the curve is to the diagonal line, the smaller level of inequality or the more perfect the division of income will be. The Gini coefficient is the uniform distribution of income in a ratio, the ratio between the shaded plane and all areas under the line on the Lorenz curve. Now, we talk about the neoclassical and neo-economic growth theory, namely endogenous growth theory. Endogenous growth theory holds that economic growth is primarily the result of endogenous and not external force. Endogenous growth theory holds that investment in human capital, innovation, and knowledge are significant contributors to economic growth. The theory also focuses on positive externalities and spillover effects of a knowledge-based economy, which will lead to economic development. The endogenous growth theory primarily holds that the long-run growth rate of an economy depends on policy measures. For example, subsidy for research and development or education increase the growth rate in some endogenous growth models by increasing the incentive for innovation. Nicholas Kaldor, in his essay titled A Model of Economic Growth, originally published in Economic Journal in 1957, postulates a growth model which follow the Harrodian dynamic approach and the Keynesian techniques of analysis. In his growth model, Kaldor attempts to provide a framework for relating the genesis of technical progress to capital accumulation, whereas the other neoclassical models treat the causation of technical progress as completely exogenous. According to Kaldor, the purpose of theory of economic growth is to show the nature of non-economic variables which ultimately determine the rate at which the general level of production of economic is growing, and thereby contribute to an understanding of the question of why some society grows so much faster than others. Now, we talk about the inequality, poverty, and income distribution. We'll use the Lorenz curve. Urbanization and rural-urban migration. Urbanization is the population from the village to the city. The unequal distribution of population between village and city, which increase the population from city to be very significant without being balanced with the number of jobs, public facilities, housing, law enforcement office, food supply, and so on. This is, of course, a problem that must be overcome and looking for a way out. Economic theory of rural-urban migration. Todaro's model is a theory which explains that rural-urban migration is an economically rational process of urban unemployment. Migrants calculate in present value the expected income from working in city or its equivalent, and migrants if the expected income from working in city exceeds the average income in rural areas. Todaro model has four basic characteristics, namely 1. Migration consideration of economic consideration, but consider psychological aspect. 2. Decision to migrate according to the difference between rural and urban wages. 3. Employment in city is inversely related to the level of disturbance in rural areas. And the last, the high unemployment rate in urban areas is a result of the imbalance of the economic area in villages and in urban areas. 5 policy implications. 1. The imbalance of rural and urban employment opportunities is caused by a development strategy that has an urban bias. 2. Providing jobs in urban areas with adequate solution. 3. The haphazard expansion of education only increase unemployment. 4. Wages subsidy and traditional price fixing of scarce factors can be counterproductive. And the last, integrated rural development program should be supported. Education and health. Education and health are fundamental development goals. Health is welfare, while education is essential for achieving a satisfying and valuable life, both of which are essential for shaping a broader human capacity which is at the core of the meaning of development. Why is this education sector very important and a leading sector in the national development of a country, including for an autonomous region? Improving health and education is an investment value for family to get out of the trap of a vicious cycle of poverty. Health and education are closely related to the economic development. Health and education are investment made in the same individual. Better health capital can increase the return on investment in education because health is an important factor in school attendance. Healthy children do better in school or can learn more efficiently. Prejudice among school-age children also increase return on investment in education, and healthy individuals are better able to use education productive at all times in their lives. The first, educational outcomes have a major impact in improving the quality of human resources in a region or countries. And the second, the expected result of development in the education sectors are from change in the mental attitudes of the community. Comprehensive strategy regarding fields and employment is 1. Creating a balance between the rural economy and the urban economy. 2. Expanding labor-intensive small-scale industry. 3. Eliminate factor price distortion. 4. Select and appropriate labor-intensive production technology. 5. Modify the linkage between education and employment. 6. Reducing the population growth rate. And the last, 7. Decentralizes authority to city and surrounding areas. Okay, enough to explain the material economic development. See you!